So if you're like me, there's been a number of times in your life where you have made a decision, perhaps even a rash decision, and then after the fact, you came to God and you asked God, would you please either A, bless this decision that I've already made without you, or would you please get me out of the mess that I've created for myself? We're all subject to it. I've done it so more times than I can count or even possibly think of. But I think there's some wisdom that we can gain from the scriptures in how to consider each day and how we make the decisions that we make. And it was helpful for me today as I've been studying in 2 Samuel. And I'm at a point in chapter 5 where David is going up against the Philistines yet again. And he's about to conquer them or defeat them in this particular battle. And they're in the valley of Rephaim. And the text says this in 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 19. And David inquired of the Lord, shall I go up against the Philistines? Will you give them into my hand? And the Lord said to David, go up, for I will certainly give the Philistines into your hand. And David came to Baal Perazim and David defeated them there. And he said, the Lord has broken through my enemies before me like a breaking flood. And then it continues in verse 22. And the Philistines came up yet again and spread out in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, you shall not go up, go around to the rear and come against them opposite the balsam trees. Now, you look at that and God is answering David in some very specific ways. Well, there's been times where I've inquired of the Lord, and more times than not, I don't hear his voice. But there are many times where I don't even give God a chance to do that because I'm so much in a hurry to try to get done what I want to get done that I leave the Lord out of my plans. Proverbs 16:9 gives us a helpful principle. A man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. This should be a very critical part of how we come to the Lord with what we want and what we desire or what we think God is calling us to do. Every time that we make a decision in the big things of life, I'm not talking about should I have cereal or oatmeal for breakfast today. I'm talking about, David going up against the Philistines is a pretty big deal. And so he inquired of the Lord. You are facing things every day in your life that are just everyday things that you know how to operate those things. God has given you the wisdom to operate in those ways. But there are big things happening in your life, especially during a pandemic where you're having to make some very difficult decisions, financial decisions, family decisions, career decisions, all of those things. Could I commend to you that before you even take a step in any one of those areas, that you need to go and ask the Lord what he says. He may make it very, very clear to you right off the bat what you're supposed to do. He may not make it clear. It may be vague. Keep going to him. Is it something that you have to rush into? Maybe you have to make a decision right away. Maybe you don't. In our humanness, sometimes we tend to feel like we need to make a decision right away when God is sometimes asking us to wait. I don't know what that decision is for you. I know certain areas of my life right now where I'm considering, have I gone too far? Have I tried to outrun God in this particular area of my life? And there's other areas where God has placed people in my life that are helping me to navigate this, which is something that we can't discount as well. But ultimately, what I hope for you today is that as you see this and as you hopefully engage in God in these very difficult times, that you can first say, God, what do you want? What is your greatest good for me? And respond accordingly. Because as you respond to God in seeking his greatest good for your life, ultimately, that is how you show how you treasure your relationship with him and that you can continue to treasure Christ as you serve him and love him.